everyone. Welcome to day 3, Peerpocalypse 2020. As what has become the usual, hi Becky, hi Marianne, hi Richard, Rita, Mandy, Regina, Charlotte, David, Cody, John, Bruce. If I could say, I want to say a personal hello to everyone, but yeah, we're just giving it a few minutes for folks to get admitted. Nicole's doing an amazing job. If we can share some kudos. Hey, Sean. I've been hearing a lot of thoughts, feedback up to now about how the virtual conference is going. And one of the things that has filled my heart is that people are still being impacted in the way Peerpocalypse hopes to impact folks by being very provocative, thought-provoking, life-changing. And so are people finding the experience not quite as a retreat-like as being in Seaside, but how are folks feeling about it?
I think it's good that we've been able to do it this way.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you. And
this is my first Peerpocalypse, and I'll tell you, this is an unusual experience, but I'm thankful I've got to spend more time with my kids as well as attend the conference this week.
Oh, excellent.
It's definitely different than in person, but I still like it. I'm surprised at how much I am liking it.
Hi, Janie.
Oh, Paul, hi.
How are you?
Doing well.
You look great.
Hey, Paul.
This has been an interesting conference. I like it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we hope, please, everyone, at the end, after tomorrow's wrap up, we would love to hear just any thoughts, good, bad, ugly, and positive, you know, all of it, because no matter what, we want to make it better every year. And so looking forward to, you know, it's always a learning experience. But welcome everyone. I'm Janie Gullickson, Executive Director of Mental Health and Addiction Association of Oregon. On behalf of the MHAAO staff, volunteers, and board of directors, I'd like to welcome you again to day 3 of Peerpocalypse 2020. And so today we have a few things going on. We have the fantastic Braunwynn Franklin is the keynote. We're going to have a video from one of our major sponsors, Providence Health Systems. And we have Becky Wilkinson, who has joined us as a representative from Providence. And then I'd like to make an announcement about the film Medicating Normal that will be shown at 4:30 Pacific time. But then for those of you that aren't on Pacific time, there should be an appropriate time for whatever that is for your time zone. And so, as many things are with Peerpocalypse, it can be, again, thought-provoking, provocative, and even deeply connected to an experience you may or may not have or of someone you know. And so while this film will be sharing its opinions of the people whose journey it highlights, and there will be, I'm sure, a great conversation afterwards. And there will be a panel of folks also sharing their experience, as well as that includes one of the people in the film. The hope, as always, is that we will be respectful to each other, and it's about sharing lived experience, not about debating or shaming folks for their voice and choice in their choice in medications. So we look forward to that at 4:30. But without further ado, we'd like to welcome Becky Wilkinson. and then we'll play the video. So thanks, Providence.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I just really wanted to take a moment to obviously introduce myself. I have worked for Providence for the last couple of years, and I currently am the outreach program manager for our peer support and community outreach programs, which is under our behavioral health department. But before you guys see the short video that talks a little bit about some of the great work our peers are doing, I just wanted to acknowledge Janie and MHAAO because I really feel like you guys don't get enough credit for the trailblazing work you've done for peer support in this state, really. And as you guys look at this video, I am certain that a lot of this work would have not been, we wouldn't be where we are today with peer support in our community without you guys. So thank you very, very much.
Yes.
Thank you, Becky.
And
for
I'm
all the work.
gonna go ahead and share the video, right? I don't have it up, so okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, thank you guys so much.
I've been without a home or an apartment for about 5 years. Every night I slide into a sleeping bag until I wake up in the morning. Yes, it does make you scared sometimes because you don't know who can come by and do whatever they want.
So BOB stands for Better Outcomes Through Bridges, and we are a collection of programs that serve our most vulnerable patients. We typically encounter patients when they're admitted into one of our Providence ERs or inpatient behavioral health unit at Providence or a medical unit. So Johnny was referred to our team by inpatient social work. He was admitted to the hospital. He had been coming into the ER frequently.
Right now I'm dealing with heart failure. It kind of dictates what I do or don't do.
Just to clarify, we'll meet next week. Our team met with him, started working with him, worked with some community partners to help.
Yeah, just following up with you to kind of see how things are going since your discharge. I do follow-up calls for folks that have come to one of Providence's emergency rooms for the last couple, about 2 to 3 years before I got sober in October of 2014. I was literally on the streets, sleeping in doorways, sometimes shelters, but I didn't do shelters very well. I became very sick. I had pneumonia. So I went to Salem Hospital for about 2 weeks. I was in their ICU, and during that time, I detoxed. It's refreshing to be a part of a team that is not kind of the norm in the hospital system, and it allows me to be my kind of authentic self. This is meaningful work, and I'm effective at it because I've been there and I can relate.
Really the core is relationship building, and along with that comes the significant outcomes that we're seeing in reduction in ED utilization, social determinants of health needs being met, and really overall well-being.
The BOB program has helped me with doctor's appointments, medications, and housing.
I know my mission in life is to help our most poor and vulnerable, and to be able to provide that in a large organization to many different people in many different communities is really a dream come true.
I think it's great. It's a wonderful idea that somebody dreamed up, and it's helped me a great deal.
Thank you, Becky, for you and your team's work. I appreciate it. It does change the game inside a can be a scary place. So thank you. All right, without further ado, I would love, and it is my honor to introduce my friend and colleague, Braunwynn Franklin. Braunwynn is a Black woman with lived experience in regard to mental health, incarceration, and multi-generational trauma, including racism. She has facilitated, presented, as well as advocated nationally in the peer mental health, prison reform communities, and is dedicated to making a difference in these communities, and she does. She has worked with and trained individuals in various settings, as well as in several states in peer support, peer wellness, and other health-related peer services for over 13 years. She has a heart for social justice change in the prison and justice system and supporting people to gain a better quality of life, mentally, spiritually, and physically. Braunwynn leads with a calm, wise, and direct nurturing and encouraging manner, and she is actively involved in 3 boards as well as participating on several committees. So again, we welcome you, Braunwynn. Take it away.
Thank you so very much. I thank you all for being here. Hello, everybody. This is pretty exciting, pretty amazing. As you see, I do wear quite a few hats. I do quite a few things. I really like to stay busy. Peer support has changed my life over the last 13 years. And I found recovery inside a prison cell, which I ended up in when I had a mental health crisis. And in my community, that's kind of, in the Black community, we don't talk about it. We're just starting to come out of the shadows. So basically, it was easier to send me to prison than to try to treat me, but it saved my life. So I'm not complaining. So again, many of you know me. I wear many a hats. Some of you on this video right now can say I trained you in peer support. Many of you on here can say I've worked with you. Many of you can also say I've sat on organizations or committees or boards with you. And then some of you have just kind of heard my name out and around. So community can be represented in many ways. It's not just something that identifies as a locality. It can be government, it can be shared government, it could be shared occupation. It is a distinction that is perceived from a larger society in which we exist and share common interests. Are you all seeing the slides? Let's pull up the slides. There we go. So when I first was asked to do the keynote, you know, all I could think about is resiliency and how resiliency and unity and community all come together. And what I came up with is COVID hit. That's what I came up with. I didn't come up with that, but it hit. And when COVID hit, it kind of changed my whole thought process of which way I wanted to go with this keynote, you know. And as I talk about it, can we see the next slide? As I talk about it, again, community is not just about locality. You know, we have what we call our peer support community. We have our CMR community. You know, we may identify as traditional health worker. That's a whole nother community. And what you see on this slide right here comes from a conference I had the privilege to present at in Texas in October called the Prisoners Families Conference. And there was a retired judge there who was from my home state. I'm originally from Michigan. That's where I'm at right now. I'm back in Michigan. I lived in Oregon for about 8 years. And I trained many of you, worked with so many of you, but I'm here now. But he said, this retired judge said, what was on this quote, sorry about that. You only model the level of health you have based on your own history, self-care, belief, and traumatic experiences. I thought that was, it kind of hit me home because I thought it was so very true. So it made me think about when I was writing my little speech here. We entered this COVID season, and we entered all types of level of adversity and trauma going through this season of COVID, going through this new season of protests, social justice change, Black Lives Matters, All Lives Matters, the whole conversation. And I don't want to get into that because that's a lot of political terminology. But what I want to say is this community of peer support specialists that's sitting here listening to me speak right now is a strong community. And we are a strong community because of our history and because of our beliefs, because of the principles that we follow. And for this community to continue to be healthy, we all have to continue to do self-care. So I basically just looked at this slide, and that's what came up for me. And I start to look at what we have done in the process of these levels of diversity, adversity, and trauma. Can I see the next slide, please? So this right here is just what it says. The Chinese use two different strokes in the way they write to write the word crisis. And one of those symbols stands for danger, and the other one stands for opportunity. So the Chinese always, when they see crisis, they always find an opportunity in that crisis. And that's kind of how I've learned, and I wasn't Chinese, and I didn't know this until about a year ago, but then I looked at it. That's kind of how I've been living my life, because I've had layers and layers and layers of trauma and pain and hurt and different things, but I need to find an opportunity in each time that a crisis comes about. So what I recognized in March of 2020, we faced one of the biggest, deadliest crises many of us have ever seen in our life. We've seen COVID-19, and it came against this whole world, and it hit the United States so very, very hard. It revealed multiple levels of crisis and crisis on top of crisis that we all had to face. We were all ordered to shelter in place. That was a level by itself, and it was hard for a lot of people who didn't have a shelter to shelter in place, okay? And then there was those of us who the isolation caused a whole nother level, you know, of unthinkable. Then we had to come on social media, which caused a whole nother level for some individuals. It was just multiple layers of crisis for some of us, not all of us. So the trauma of the pandemic crisis wreaked havoc on a lot of people's mental health, a lot of people's concerns and issues. Then there's peer support. Can I have the next slide? Then there's peer support, the resilient nature that's in all of us. Because we're all sitting here, we're all standing, we've all come through a long journey of crisis and trauma and maybe even addiction, maybe even hospitalizations, all of the above. But we were resilient and we pressed through all of that. It's in our nature, it's in our DNA, you know. So what I saw the peer community step up, and it built a brand new community, a virtual community of support to help people on their journey of recovery, all different levels of recovery. I watched different people develop different workshops, online groups. You know, we united all over the world to create a new way of providing support. We became us. we became a community that others needed to find. And we made that happen. We have online resources like Pure Galaxy, who listed all of these resources. I don't know if you've seen the workshop the other day, but there was a workshop, you know, and then we had people come on from DDA and put their groups on there. We had NA come on there. We had meditation groups. We had art groups. We had music groups. We all became resourceful for individuals on their journey. We reframed, we redesigned, and we created a trauma response. We went beyond being trauma informed. We became the response to the trauma that people were feeling right then. We built a brand new community. This right here says, strengthen what we gained from the madness we survived. Because of the madness we survived in our trauma, we developed that resiliency. And because that resiliency, we came together quicker than organizations, quicker than the government, quicker than our local governments and other community systems to develop support for our community of people who had mental health challenges. Next slide. This is their definition of this is, I think, Webster's definition of what resiliency is. But my definition to me is resiliency is creating a joy in my journey, in the midst of the process, no matter how uncomfortable the process is, no matter how hard it may seem, but creating a joy in that journey. Taking a look to find something to be grateful about. And I saw this community step up and do that. So when we talk about initiating and we're on a road to recovery, it's not the failure that's holding us back. It's the fear that we allow to paralyze us. And what I saw in this community, this peer support community, when COVID hit, we didn't let it paralyze us. We stepped up, we stepped forward, and we empowered ourselves and others to help them continue to live the life that they deserved. And that was amazing. And it's just amazing. Next slide. Next slide, please. Did I freeze? I think I might be froze.
Braunwynn, I did forward the slide. Do you not see it forwarded on your end?
Okay, there it is. I got it.
Okay.
All right, sorry about that. So, as we do what people call emotional maturity, it's the capacity to hold space for the range of possibilities that exist. I've used my human experience as an opportunity of growth in spite of all the crises that I've been. And again, I've watched this peer community take itself and redevelop, redesign, and reframe itself into this powerful virtual presence. And you've been holding space for so many people that are on so many different levels. And it's just been amazing. And what I see when I see that is, I see entrepreneurs. I see people who have had gifts that's inside of them and talents and knowledge that they had not tapped into. And they developed a sense of wanting to help, wanting to reach out, wanting to touch other people. But little did they realize that that was a gift that was down inside of them all along, waiting to get free. Now that that gift is free, what are you thinking? What would you do with it going forward? Because one day we're going to look back, I hope, at this whole COVID thing, and we're going to be able to laugh and talk about how we made a difference for people who were having challenges or who were in crisis, how we turned this crisis into an opportunity. You know, and a lot of people that might know me, I know my family know me, I know butterflies, I love butterflies. And I love butterflies and because the journey that the butterfly goes through from the caterpillar to the butterfly is a hard journey. You know, and it comes out this beautiful, beautiful butterfly that everybody admires, but nobody saw the little caterpillar before it went into the cocoon. And some of us have been those caterpillars, and we've been inside these cocoons. And it's really, really time for us to start spreading our wings in this community and continue to heal. I see so much turmoil and chaos going on and protests all over. And right now it's going on really strong in the Portland area. But I also see love and humanitarians out there. And we can make a difference. Can I see the next slide? Okay. So I'm not going to be before you too much longer. So I seen this slide and it made me start to think, you know, and as a Black woman, and I've done a little thinking about this and I've done a little research about it, and I've heard of the post-traumatic slave disorder syndrome. And basically it talked about how trauma is passed down through DNA. We have Gabor Mate, who talks about the trauma passed on through through DNA. There's a couple of different books out there that talks about that this trauma didn't start with us. This trauma has been passed down. But I got to thinking about that. If we carry intergenerational trauma, how come and how come we don't carry intergenerational resilience? And that's what this slide talks about. It talks about the intergenerational wisdom. It's in our genes. It's in our DNA. We just have to tap into it. Sometimes, I don't know about you all, but sometimes I hear my grandmother's voice telling me something when I was a little girl. She's been passed away 30 years, but I can hear her giving me that word of wisdom, that word of encouragement. And I want to encourage you all to tap into your instinct and start those businesses, start those peer-run programs, start more meetings, more groups, more support groups. Do what's in your heart and build this peer community even stronger. And I have to say to MHAAO, they are amazing. They took this opportunity, this crisis, and developed an opportunity to still bring us all together and be groundbreakers in setting this example of what a virtual conference could look like. And we all were still able to come together and make connections. They allow for us to network in the breakout rooms at the beginning of the workshops. This has been an amazing journey. And I want to see, and I hope to see, and I believe in you to continue to build this peer community, whether it's virtual or if it's one-on-one or together, both. So I thank you for hearing me. I thank you for listening to me. And I hope to see you on some of the other projects that I'm working on. You know, email me. Next slide. I think I put it in there. Did I put it in there? Is there another one? Nope, I didn't put it in there. Okay, but anybody can reach me. Everybody knows how to reach me. And I'm a pretty open book, and I'm happy to share anything with everybody. And again, thank you all. Thank you, Janie and MHAL, for this opportunity.
Thank you, Braunwynn, so much. The crowd is roaring. I know we're on our feet. Just thanking you so much for sharing yourself and your wisdom and your experience and you just did peer support to over 200 people and gave encouragement to
That's what I do. That's who I am. I have been for 13 years in 3 different states, and it changed my life. It saved my life, and that's what I do. Is I do peer support, and I do it just like this. I do it with my family. This is what they know. This is me 24 hours a day. Peer support.
Well, you're a beautiful human, and I thank you for being here. And I know a lot is going on in your life, and so huge gratitude. And
thank you. I'm looking at all the comments here.
Awesome.
If we had any, if there was time for, and let me just.
Yeah, there's time. If there's Q&A or conversation, we can keep this platform open.
I would
sure
to do that, and I'm going to put for my email in the chat box, and I am happy to answer any questions or anything anybody wants to say. I'm seeing something about Trauma Stewardship is an amazing book. Somebody said look it up. Yeah. Anything, anybody? Okay. Somebody said, can I speak about taking care of yourself and not burning out doing peer support for so long? Yes, I can speak about it. For me, what I do is I have, and anybody that's been in any class that I ever teach, I tell them, I know I don't have a self-care toolkit. I have a trunk. I have a lot of different things to go to when I need to take a step back. And to be true to me, I have learned that it's okay to say no and take that step back and find whatever quiet thing I may need to do, whether it's arts and crafts, whether it's take a walk, whether it's go to the water, because water energizes me, whether it's just tune everything out and lay in the bed for a day. But I don't let it go past that one day. Because if I feel like I'm getting into a rut, because I can do that, I make myself get up and do something. If it's nothing but get up and take a shower, that'll help me feel a little bit better. And once I get the momentum going, then I'm going. But sometimes with peer support, and this was a new beginning for me to move back to Michigan. It allowed me to take a step back because I was starting to feel burnt out. Because I was feeling like I wasn't being heard. I was sitting in all these places. I had a seat at all these tables, but I didn't see the changes coming. So I needed to step away. And I did. I came home. I have grandchildren. Go spend some time and run and laugh and joke and watch cartoons with the kids. I spent a whole day with my grandson last week watching Pokemon Go stuff and letting him explain to me all the different characters. Taking the time to step back, love on yourself is an important part of self-care. And it's okay to say no. And sometimes when I say no, I do explain no, I know why. Because sometimes people, I don't know, act funny, whatever. But it's okay to say no and explain why. It doesn't have to be elaborate, but people understand. People understand when you can say no. When I stepped away from OCAC, the Oregon Consumer Advisory Council, I explained to them I needed to go take care of my dad. I needed to go and connect there. Everybody understood. I have people calling me. I can still say no sometimes. So I hope that made sense. I'm looking to see if there's anything else coming up. Okay, that sounds good. Another thing I do is I've kind of connected with an organization called Surviving Race, the intersection between injustices, disabilities, and human rights. And I do Thursday night. It's Thursday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time, but I do a thing called Call to Balance. And what I do in the Call to Balance is I've taken the 8 dimensions of wellness that we all learned about, and I've put them into, I've found a way to place them into chakra alignment and energy alignment. And we talk about it. We talk about the dimensions. We talk about where we're at. We talk about what chakra might be. We do a meditation. We do some affirmations, and then we set a goal at the end. Again, peer support. We set a goal of what we want to do that week to help us get back in balance, to get our lives back moving forward. You know, so I do that. Then I also I like music. I listen to a lot of gospel music, but I was raised a jazz fan. So on Surviving Race Network on Friday night and Saturday night for 3 hours, usually 9 o'clock Eastern time to midnight, I do I call it Jazz Jam. And it's on Spotify. And I take requests and we sit there and we talk pure stuff. We talk whatever you want to talk about. And I play jazz music for 3 hours. And that's another way of me taking care of myself. It's a way of just zoning out of some of that other stuff. So somebody reminded me to talk about that. Let's see, anything else? Okay. I'm just in awe. Also, we just did a Surviving Race. Celia Brown and myself just did a webinar that was hosted by the National Coalition on Mental Health Recovery, and it's called Peace, Love, Justice, Healing Black, Brown, Indigenous, and Diverse Communities. So look it up, listen to it. It was a pretty powerful video, and we talked about something that is kind of controversial because you're getting all this defund the police. So we took it to maybe a different level. We talked about not calling the police when people are having mental health crisis, because sometimes in certain communities, our homeless, our houseless people, our Black people, our people of color, our Indigenous people, when they get involved with the police and they're having mental health crisis or challenges, they may end up dead. And it's happening. So the instance we're talking about George Floyd, but it's happening to our people. It's happening in our community, you know, because we're calling the police because this person is talking about it, you know. So let's think about that. Let's rethink how we do peer support and how we support people who might be challenged. Because sometimes people just want to be heard. They want somebody to understand, and they want somebody to help them meet that unmet need. Because that behavior is coming from an unmet need. I see a question here about tokenism and system processes regarding the peer voice. Only got a couple of minutes. So this would probably be the last one I'll answer. But I put my email in the chat somewhere, so you can always email with questions. Tokenism. That's huge in the peer community. When we sit in some of these organizations, some of the nonprofits, bigger organizations, they give us the seat at the table because they want to. And what I found for me is being a Black woman, especially in the Portland area, I had a seat at the table because I was Black, and they wanted to be able to say they were diverse, and they wanted to say they was inclusive. Yes, I was included, but I didn't have equity because my voice was not being heard. So to just be included was tokenism. I was just a token Black at the table when there was 30 other people in that room, but I was the only one. And I could sit there and I could say something like I'm speaking to you, and no one would say a word. And my boss didn't believe me when I told her this. So we did it one day. I said something and nobody, they act like they didn't hear me. She said word for word verbatim of what I said. And everybody was like, yes, wow, yes, we ought to try that. And she looked at me and she said, wow, you were telling the truth. I'm like, yeah, I was the talking. I was to be seen and not heard. So immediately everybody blocks me out. And that's a reality to us as peers because of the stigma around people with mental health challenges. They don't see us as human. They don't see us as having a brain. They don't see us as thinking, intelligent people. They just see us as somebody to be included, but not having the equity. And we as peers have come to a point where we have allowed ourselves to get into positions and jobs, and we have gotten quiet. We have stopped advocating for ourselves and for the people we work with. I would hope to see, as this community has just come about in this crisis, I would hope to see that change. Us to start speaking up. Yes, you might lose your job. There's another job. Or there is start your own program. And that's where I'm at today. I'm at, how can I start my own? Because I have the knowledge, I have the skills. I was included at the table, but I didn't have the equity at the table. How do I make that equity for myself? Because I'm capable, I'm able. Prison background, trauma background, psych hospital background, all of that, I'm still capable. So I hope that answered the questions that were out there around tokenism. Let's see, talked about the call to balance. I talked about my webinar. Right now I'm working with a young lady and we're developing a training for peer support specialists that work with the community of people that may be facing gender-based violence and how to support them, So we're working on developing that curriculum. So hopefully that'll be coming to Portland soon. I started it before I left there. So yeah. Anything else? Any other things right quick? Thank you all. I appreciate it. Thank you. 8 dimensions of wellness and okay, it's on the, if you go on Facebook, look up the surviving race intersection of, and you can find the link. We post the links on there every week, and it's called Call to Balance is the name of the workshop that I do, and I do it every Thursday night. Been doing it for the last 3 months since COVID hit. I've been doing it, Call to Balance. Somebody asked about that. Let's see. Somebody posted the link to the Peace, Love, and Justice Healing Black, Brown, Indigenous, and Diverse Communities. Somebody posted the link. The link is in the chat box. I'm pretty sure, let's see, can we find a recording here with me? Okay, yeah, it's on there, Celia. It's like, let's find it, Okay, so I'm looking at a lot of different comments. Yeah, I did a thing at the Governor's Council and at the request of Kevin a couple of weeks ago. I got something on enlightenment with Ann Casper. If you Google my name, you'll probably find all kinds of things. Oh, go on LinkedIn. It's all on LinkedIn. I got an OPB thing I did a couple of years ago. I got my PowerPoint to my prisoner conference thing. Done some things with Rethinking Psychiatry, which is an organization in Portland. And we sit down and we dialogue about certain things. Check them out. It's called Rethinking Psychiatry. Yeah. I wear a lot of hats. I do a lot of things, but it's because this is my passion. This is what saved my life, and because my son died because of his mental health, he's schizophrenic and he was murdered because people didn't understand. The man talking to himself, he was 21 years old. I fight for him. He just would have been 36 years old last week, but I fight for him. That's his spirit in me, fighting for him. And I think I'm out of time. I think I am out of time, but check out some of the chat boxes, links to all kinds of stuff in there, my call to balance, everything, and my email. So reach out. Thank you, MHAL. Thank you, Amy. Thank you. Love you all. Thank you.
Love you too, Braunwynn. Thank you so much. And yes, this will be posted later as a recording. So yeah, just on with the rest of the conference. And again, we thank you, Braunwynn, so much. Take care, everyone.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So is there a way to get the slides? There were some quotes that I really liked and wasn't able to get the full quote.
You want the quote from me or the quote that's on the PowerPoint?
The PowerPoint slides.
They have the PowerPoint and they're going to post all the PowerPoints that they have on their website. So there's going to be a place for you to go on the website and get the PowerPoint. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Enjoy, everyone. I'll see you later.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Awesome. Thank you.